So good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from around the world. It's amazing to be here with you. My name is Bimpe Kuti-Matekenya. I am truly delighted to welcome you to the opening session of our 2025 November to Remember International Talk Series. This is proudly hosted by the Center of Intelligence of Things at the University of Greater Manchester in Bolton under the leadership of Professor Celestine Iwendi. And I am joined this evening by my student ambassador, Simon. Very soon you would hear shortly from Simon. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge our students that are here, our head of school, Sam, that has joined us, our dignitaries, our special guests, our partners, our colleagues, who have joined from various institutions and industries from around the world. Your presence today and this evening from the UK represents and reflects the collaborative spirit of what this series represents. So just very quickly, for those of you that have never attended our November to Remember series before, this initiative, like I said, led by the Center of Intelligence of Things, the idea and the ethos is to bring together global leaders, to bring together innovators, to bring together academics and students so that we can all exchange ideas that will inspire us in terms of technological advancement, ethical leadership, and also inclusive practice development. So it's a lot of thought-provoking talks, and you will have the opportunities as students to live inspired and empowered, as professionals, as communities looking for opportunities to further harness how we can collaborate in terms of innovation for the greater good. And in the process of this, our vision is to foster a much more global community in terms of how we share knowledge, but impactful knowledge as well. Our series this year is titled Powering Possibilities, Technology, Trade, and the Future of Human Development. And over the next 2 weeks, we will be joined by distinguished thought leaders. We will be joined by innovators, people who are really shaping how technology can empower our progress as humans, can empower social equity, can bring about more sustainable futures as well. So I really do encourage you all to take something away, no matter how small it is. You never know, that little nugget from every single one of these talks might just spark something impactful that will lead you to action in your career, whether you're a student, whether you're a professional joining us from practice, whether you are someone from the industry. So our session tonight sets the tone very perfectly. And Simon, in a few minutes, who is our student ambassador for tonight's talk, we'll have the privilege of introducing our very distinguished speaker, Kathleen. Who better to open this series than the president of IEEE? So we're really looking forward to your talk, Kathleen, and thank you so much for joining us all the way from San Diego, from the United States of America. So I really do encourage you all to engage. Just a reminder, please make sure that your mic stays mute. I will be keeping us to time. Kathleen will start a presentation at exactly 6:15, which is 6:15 p.m. with a view to conclude at 6:45 p.m.
Okay.
And you have about half an hour, Kathleen.
Okay.
And I'm sure it will be a very impactful 30 minutes to listen to your talk. And at the end of your talk, we will have a little bit of question and answers, and then I will close the session for today. But to all of our guests that have joined, and at the moment we're currently at 90 plus, thank you so much from wherever you're joining us from across the world. And I really hope that you take away some nuggets today that will leave you inspired to come back tomorrow. Thank you. Simon, over to you now to introduce Kathleen. And while you're doing that, I would share Kathleen's presentation.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to read the biography of our presenter for today. Kathleen A. Kramer is a professor of electrical engineering at the University of San Diego in California. She worked to develop new engineering programs as a founding member of the faculty and eventually became the chair of electrical engineering. Then serving as director of engineering between 2004 to 2013, providing academic leadership for all of the university engineering programs. Her teaching interests are in the areas of signal processing, mechatronic and robotics, and communication systems. She has also been a member of technical staff at several companies, including Varsat, Hellot, Spact, and Bell Communication Research. She is a distinguished lecturer for the IEEE Aerospace and Electronic Systems Society and is a past vice president of the society. She is a fellow of ABET and a leader in the development of accreditation criteria for cybersecurity, mechatronic and robotics, and graduate programs. Kathleen served on the IEEE Board of Directors as IEEE Secretary and Chair of Governance and IEEE Region 6, Western USA, Director. She was also Chair of the 2023 IEEE Ad Hoc Committee on Innovating Funding Models. She received the BSc degree in Electrical Engineering, magna cum laude, with a second major in physics from Loyola Marymount University, and the MS and PhD degrees in electrical engineering from the California Institute of Technology. So that is brief biography about our presenter for today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Simon. Really appreciate your help in helping to introduce the amazing credentials of Kathleen, who is joining us this evening. So you have your slides up now. Kathleen, please just, I would gladly help you move over to the next slide. Just
okay.
As in,
Great, thank you so much. So welcome everyone, and I was cheering away watching the participants so that I could get above 100 and feel validated. And certainly my sincere thanks to Professor Celestine and Professor Bimpe and Professor Simon for making me so welcome. And I'm thrilled to be, I didn't know I was kicking off the November to Remember, but I'm thrilled to be doing that. And I have to tell you, I have so many events this year that I kept coming up on this and like, what is November to Remember? What is, like, I can't remember what November to Remember is. And then I'd write to, I have a staff member that manages my calendar, and I'd write to her and then I say, wait, I know I've asked, wait, I remember, I have remembered my November to Remember. So very glad to kick off November with you. And I'm glad to see such an international audience that I've picked up today. And so I'm going to offer you my efforts at Wisdom and a few personal perspectives on IEEE and volunteerism. And I have a great deal of trouble watching the time. And so we do not want to suffer for hours listening to me. I have a whole explanation about how time limited means unlimited bandwidth, and bandwidth, band limited means unlimited time. And we don't want unlimited time from a speaker. So when it's time for me to stop, just go ahead. You have only 1 minute, and I promise to cut off wherever I am, and you will have gotten something wonderful regardless. So next slide, please.
second. Now my slide is refusing to move over to the next slide. Give me a second.
Sure, no problem.
No, when you have everything prepped with technology and then it decides to fail on you. I've just clicked next and my computer is deciding to boot. Give me a second.
No worries. I can always share if you need me to share.
We have the pressure. I'm going to stop share and try again and see how we get on. Thankfully, we seem to be ahead of time.
We got here ahead of time and we checked almost everything.
Yeah. I'm trying to get the right time. Oh, now it's deciding to move. Right, there we go. Let's see. Yeah, I have the click, I have the sound now, so hopefully that will allow me to return back to sharing the screen.
Okay.
There we go.
Excellent. So even in the most stable of environments, let's say going back, back before even I was young, there was often, for those of us that are in engineering technology, a technical pathway and an organizational management pathway. Today, I would say career paths can start out that way, but are much less predictable. And if you're a technical contributor, you'll likely find yourself looking, whether you wish to or not, for new and better opportunities with different affiliations that apply or upskill yourself in new and unexpected ways. And so technical agility is one key, but so is professional agility, meaning adaptability and initiative and a commitment to lifelong learning. And so you're lucky if you enjoy learning. And so that's something to develop in yourself. And I would say technical depth matters and needs to be your best foundation, but it's empowered by opportunities to build on that foundation, at least at the funner places. And there's a need for what I would rather call power skills than soft skills. And the trick is to balance between this sort of broad perspective and specialized evolving expertise. And you want to build your resilience and open doors. Let's see. So the markets often determine whether employers are looking at all initially, and especially if they look beyond, say, your GPA and your degree and your university. But in the long run, you need other things to go with that. And so I'm in San Diego, and there's actually 3 universities in San Diego that have university and San Diego in the name. And so very often, and I would say at least once a week, when I'm introduced to people, they assume that I'm from UCSD because it is a much bigger university. And so I'll get introduced and they'll say, this is Kathleen Kramer from the University of San Diego. And then they will say very kindly, this is, oh, it's so nice to meet somebody else from UCSD. and so then I usually will correct them. But I have many friends at UCSD and I quite like their dean, Al, and some of my colleagues are there. It's quite a, they have, last time I looked, I believe they had reached 500 tenured track faculty in engineering. And so it's quite a large community that they have, but I'm not actually from there. So the students at UCSD are blessed that they're at a good school. But oftentimes they have chosen their school because it's a prestigious school. And they're expecting that this will lead to career success. And I think it definitely gets them on-campus recruitment in greater numbers than many universities. But the graduates are often disappointed that that doesn't get, it gets you the first job, but it doesn't get you the next one. And it's a, you know, there's only so much you can do. And particularly students that are thinking, well, I'll major in this because there's a lot of opportunities and because I don't need to speak English very well. And this is not the recipe for success in one's career. Let's see, next slide, please. So as IEEE president, I am compelled to share IEEE information with you on the assumption that some of you might not know what it is. So I'm pretty sure that many of you don't know as well as I do all the parts of the huge organization, the giant ship that I have the honor of steering this year. So our core mission is to foster technological innovation and excellence for the benefit of humanity. And our short way to say that is advancing technology for humanity. And this is a driving purpose that brings together, as of about a week ago, 500,000 members worldwide. This fully happened for the first time just a little over a week ago. And so we look to accomplish this goal not as a national research laboratory or as a university or as a startup, but instead we're trying to foster communities of forward-thinking professionals and pre-professionals, and to collaborate to discover the next technological innovations together, to shape and share knowledge. And our most sort of inventive, directly inventive thing that we do is to develop international standards that advance technology and consider the impact. And these commitments are both for our members and from our members, but also for the discipline and for the public. And I'm defining discipline in, I should use the plural perhaps, but I mean it in the very broadest of sense. So we are a big tent in that way, even if you might not see it that way as an undergraduate student. Next slide, please. So our worldwide membership ends up, we're in 190 countries. And so this is, but there's all these members and all these members of the communities, but we're also a professionally run organization. And there is a quite a large staff, not nearly as large a staff as there are members, but quite a large staff. And so and I think of it as a higher level leader in the organization. I would often point to our unique staff volunteer leader partnership. And so at the highest level, almost every higher level volunteer would have like a corresponding staff member that's their partner and that has a different role, but it's what makes it not hit or miss whether we're doing things well. And it's a great opportunity for me to learn from these professionals, many of whom make more than I do, quite frankly, and good for them. And so we are able to shape global research by its publication, through the publication of quality findings across engineering, computing, technology. We have a portfolio of journals, conferences, and standards. And basically, we're a convener and a knowledge exchanger, and this is more our purpose and method of fostering collaboration. And we're looking to include researchers, practitioners, educators, and as part of this mission to for technological innovation. And the very best things that we do a good job at bringing all those parties together. And that doesn't happen naturally, I think. People, you would hope that it would, but I don't think that it does in my observation. And so my my favorites, not that I have any favorites, but if I did have any favorites, my favorites would be those conferences, those societies, those sections, those whatever different organizational unit that deliberately and structurally include those different segments of thought leaders in what they're doing. And it's more than just like a nominal, we need diversity. It's a diversity of thought and a perspective that adds quite a bit and is part of what we do. Next slide, please. So we also see our role as serving a higher purpose. So being a positive force and helping technology to be a positive force. And so from education to public policy, humanitarian engineering and social impact. So some of those are much more glamorous to or appealing, I would say, to some. And in my experience, I've dabbled at least a little bit in every one of these. And so some of them, in my experience, are much more appealing than it is easy to do in an effective way. But that doesn't mean we don't want to do them. It just means that having like your strong technical expertise brings something to the table on each of these fronts, even though you might not realize that, or it might seem that, oh, I'm not interested in being technical, I want to teach. No, I'm not. I'm going to. All these things benefit, whether it's public policy or real humanitarian technology, from you having something to bring to the table as a knowledgeable, practical person, and it benefits both sides, and basically supercharges you and whatever you're working on. And so don't so quickly leave your technical expertise behind and think you only need to develop professionally or as a volunteer or in view of social issues. I'm all for a humanitarian technology board, but you need to bring something in order to have technology of impact to humanity. You have to have some technology to deliver. And you have to have some understanding of what's worth delivering and how other people can use that and what those impacts would be. Next slide, please. So we're actually, people think of us, and many of our members' views are shaped from when they were undergraduate students, because that's frankly the cheapest membership. and they think of it as a student club, and myself included, when I was an undergraduate student. And we are a member organization, and I just mentioned earlier 500,000 members, but it's and that's, like, I would say one of the selling points for us is that you get to hang out with the best and the brightest by being a member. But we're actually a public charity, and so the purpose of our work is to provide education for scientific purposes. And so our activities all tie to this mission, and we're not like some form of a union. And so we care about the workforce, and we strive to better demonstrate and to help our members, but that our first purpose is to serve the public. And that's what makes people professionals, actually, is this regard for the public. And so we're also a lot more than just electrical and electronic engineering, which is why you won't very often hear me start off by telling you what IEEE stands for. And so the less you understand about IEEE, the more likely you are to explain what the acronym stands for. And the reason that I get told by others to not get into what the acronym stands for is because computing doesn't appear in the acronym, and so the computing people feel like, well, aren't you going to include me? And it's like, we're a big tent, we're a big technical tent, but we have an incorporation that's we're following on from Thomas Edison, even if our name changed in 1963. So next slide, please. So as I mentioned, this big tent, and so our strength as a big tent organization is in this extraordinary range of disciplines. And so when they kindly read a lot of my biography at the beginning, you could pick off from that particular biography robotics and signal processing and physics and aerospace. Were all things that were mentioned, or also transportation and vehicles then, and control and automation then. And so a good portion of these, and there's no, that's not, and communication, like, so I go through the list and many of them were mentioned in my biography. And this is not what I don't think everyone should try to do everything. This is a reflection of my having very broad interests, and that's helped shape my pathway. But you can be as narrow as you want, and so some people, it just sings to them right away to be something in particular. And I'm more, I like the opportunity to learn. Next slide, please. So our technical societies and councils, and there's 46 of them right now, represent, each of them has their own fields of interest, with the councils combining societies together. And one of the common questions I get is, are you going to do something about that? Because isn't it a bit too much? And it probably is, but I'd have to make dealing with that a priority over some really important, impactful things that I made higher priorities, frankly. And so, but beyond that, we want to have collaboration across disciplines, engineering, science, ethics, and we want to tackle complex issues that have integrated solutions. Next slide, please. And so we really want partnerships, and like I mentioned earlier, we want to bring together from across disciplines and perspectives, and that's, so real world challenges require real world collaboration. And that's sung to me when I'm finally going to get to, I'll try to be faster, because I want to get to like more just let's talk about me endlessly. I'm just kidding. So next slide, please. And so we do have at IEEE for you, we have a young professionals, and we have member benefits for young professionals. Next slide, please. And our strength and opportunities for students and young professionals are basically everywhere that it connects you to a global network. And so our better initiatives, not all our initiatives by any means, we're many little organizations and communities together, but our better initiatives serve that purpose. And so a bit meta, but really appropriate for today, is our IEEE volunteering platform that was actually initially developed out of IEEE Young Professionals. And it's seen as an enhancing opportunity for both those that have volunteer opportunities for others, and for those who are trying to hook in. And I have 3 major strategic initiatives for this year. And one of them is the One IEEE for Strategic Innovation, and which is, big, broad approach. And then the other 2, One IEEE for Education and One IEEE Connecting Students to Successful Careers in Industry, both of them identified this volunteering platform that comes from our young professionals as resonating with what they were trying to do on their own. So I think that's what makes it even more interesting to me. Next slide. And so there's e-learning, which is one way you can support advancing your own technical skills. Next slide. And with 500,000 members, and literally, I would say there's thousands of different technical communities. And these different communities can build bridges. And so for me, in my own journey, sometimes people see, I guess I'll talk more about it later, but sometimes people think that being president of IEEE is that I made it to the top of the pyramid and I fought off everybody else to get there. And I would say very much it is much more building community across different communities and really being a recognized part and having the opportunities to learn and contribute in different ways, so that when I meet people from communities that even though I might not have known that I was a part of them, that I actually know several people in the room, and they know that they've worked with me. So for example, if you look at my background, it doesn't say IEEE standards very much in that background. And I've never been in a working group for standards. But this year, as president, I think I've spent a good 3 weeks of the year doing nothing but support standards efforts in various areas. And in one case, I went to the 802 general meeting, which is one of our biggest bodies of standards. And I taught as in partnership for 4 years with the general chair of the 802 standards. And I met, 2 of my friends from grad school at the meeting that I hadn't seen since I was in graduate school. And so it doesn't have to be that you have a title. It doesn't have to be that you're building your resume. It can be that you're just building connections and looking to advance technology and be part of the communities together. And so hold on. So could you back up one on the future directions? And so IEEE Future Directions is in many ways one of our more, I think of it as glamorous, but it's our blue sky things, and it's our efforts to build communities where we don't already have them for emerging technologies. And so so they look to be ahead of the curve on it. It's difficult to always be ahead, but these projects, and so some of these might look, these are over the years. And so some of these projects spin up and then they don't really go anywhere. And but the ones that probably make it out of here do. And they have every year, they're rotating some in and they're taking some out. And there's an effort to build new communities. And I would say that even prior to my being president, I was personally involved in about, I'm going to say 6 or 8 of these. And it's been a great pleasure to be involved in more, but they each have separate events and activities going on. It's an opportunity to build expertise and build new pathways for technology. Next slide, please. And so these efforts, as I mentioned earlier, they can create local impact, they can create global impact, and they have to solve real world challenges. And so I spend a great deal of time on these. My hesitation is that they're easier, it's a lot easier said than done to be really effective here. And so I'm totally not against it. And I was a great part of the effort in the past year that transformed our Humanitarian Technologies Committee into a board, which the point being to more include the activity, those who are having the activities and leading the activities and understand the activities, rather than have it come from above, and to provide opportunities for funding. And so next slide, please. So this, I'll just say next slide. So now to get to my own journey, I found that each of the opportunities as a volunteer leader have enhanced my own skills and, frankly, my ability to lead, um, by expanding my perspectives and aligning my work with a greater purpose and an impact that goes far beyond, my work group or my particular employer. And it's allowed me to help others to learn so that they also can lead, and the value of collaboration, initiative. And so I'm proud to be part of the greater community, and really each and every one of my communities. One of my early higher level experiences was to be the director of IEEE Region 6. So we divide the world into 10 regions, and IEEE Region 6 is, of course, the best region because it was my region. And it's the Western US, and we have 11 Western states, including the entire West Coast, and many of the top technology companies in the world, has the highest rate of industry members, and it also owns Hawaii and Alaska, which is really good for places to have meetings. And so I welcome IEEE Region 6. But so I've always said that my section is my professional home, but it's opened up a world that's like a lot more than my section and a lot more than my region, I would say. Next slide, please. So here's a slide that I share. Usually, like I could go into this in a longer form, but you mentioned it in my introduction. But I'll also mention that in high school, I was at an all-girls high school, and I didn't realize that I was unusual until later, because everybody was a girl that did everything. And it was my father who told me that because I was good at physics and math, that I was supposed to be in engineering. But I got into it honestly not knowing what it was. And so I was just like, okay, I guess I should do that. And it took me a few years to figure it out. So nowadays, so I have children that are in university right now. And now when they were in high school, my daughter, for example, she had 3 years of engineering in high school. But when I was in high school, that was unheard of. And it's a relatively recent phenomenon that to have that, and there's some barriers to that. And so good for her that she was able to have that experience. But for me, it was really more, the world is full of choices, and I think you can be happy choosing from any of these choices can all be good choices. There's not, sometimes people think that choices become very stressful, especially to students, that they have to pick the right thing. And if they pick that they're doomed to pick if they pick the wrong thing. And I think that you can be happy and successful with all kinds of that. It's not so, don't spend so much time trying to pick exactly the right choice. You make the best of your choices, and then sometimes you have to be willing to remake those choices. Next slide, please. And so my professional journey, and I have a communications person who helps me with my presentations. And I had her add the McDonald's because that was my job, honestly. I eventually was a swing manager. I was employee of the month at McDonald's, and I learned a lot from that. At that time, there's a saying that they had: if you have time to lean, you have time to clean. And there's a lot to learn from being in an environment where they could care less about you, and they're just going to fire you if you do a bad job or you don't show up for work. And they're not in the business of fostering excellence for the benefit of you. They just want you to get to work. And but this is something teenagers need to learn, and it doesn't hurt. And nowadays, I very rarely see students who had jobs before they went to university. It's like you're encouraged to do other things. And a lot of times I wish that they would have been encouraged to get a job and learn how to take care of themselves a little better and respond more professionally. And in many ways, the wealthier the student is, the more, the less they're able to handle uh, adversity. And COVID has certainly harmed the response to COVID of stay home and whatever you do, don't keep working if you have a sniffle and so on, is a really bad lesson for 16-year-olds and so on. And be anxious about everything and worry about everything. There's a lot to be done to counter that and to build strength and to inculcate strength in our young professionals. So for me and my journey, besides McDonald's, which I did, so there is in IEEE a great deal of respect, and it helps my resume as to be president, as a presidential candidate, to be able to list companies that I worked at. And I didn't work at any of the industry companies for that long. My real full-time job has been University of San Diego as a faculty member, but I've made a determined effort, and it's been part of why I'm active in IEEE, is this opportunity for industry engagement. It's what makes our fields relevant. And it's every one of these affiliations. So you see there's this picture there at Nokia Bell Labs. So Bell Labs, in case you didn't realize it, they believe they invented everything. And you go on their little gallery tour. This is the We Invented Everything Here tour. And I just dedicated 7 historic milestones there. I did not dedicate, so one milestone that they have is the invention of the transistor, which therefore defines all of electronics. They also invented the solar cell. They invented the digital camera. They invented C programming. They invented, so the list goes on and on and on. And so I worked at Bell Communications Research for 2 summers, and I was supposed to go there permanently, and then had a feeling I was making a mistake, so I went to my university instead. But I'm still part of the Bell Labs family. So that was all of 6 months separately of my life, but I'm a recognized member of their community, that they would have me for their 100th anniversary. Isn't that nice? And so every job you have is an opportunity. It might be the most boring clean up the trash job as a minimum wage, but it might not be. and you know, you have an ability to determine how you're going to conduct yourself, and how you're going to respect yourself, and how you're going to respect others, and how you can learn. And you can learn there, or you can learn on the side. My father passed away last year, but I was blessed to have a very good father. And his belief was that you have a choice. You could major in engineering, math, or science, or you could major in accounting, and anything else is called having a hobby, and you should double major. and so I majored in engineering and physics, and my sister majored in chemistry and became a cancer researcher, and my brother majored in accounting, and he's an accountant now. And if you want to do something else, you're supposed to double major. And so, and so I think that he considered this his success in his life, that he managed to impart this. I haven't seen anybody else manage to do it, except I might be the greatest mother of all time, because at this moment, all three of them are majoring in electrical engineering, but we'll see if that's how well that sticks. I haven't mentioned to them any alternatives. So we'll see what happens. So I might be running out of time. Next slide. And so here's some fun things at my university with my career. And that student in the corner, the astronaut, that's my student, Matt Dominic, that was the commander of the Space Team 8 last year. And so I'll take credit for him. But what attracted me to my university was that it's unique in it has a dual degree that's required of all students. And so you have to earn a Bachelor of Arts and a Bachelor of Science degree. And it's 147 semester units. And to get, I don't know how you count your units, but Arizona State University is like many state universities, and the minimum is 120. So ours is 147. And so if there was a competition for the most units, which most people would not want to win that competition, we win that competition or we lose that, however you'd like to see it. And so to give myself one more minute. So next slide. Oh, so I'll skip this, even though this is a fun slide. I don't want to run out of time, but look at how cool this is. So next slide, sorry. So I have to get to why volunteering matters, because that was the topic of my speech. Next slide, please. So volunteering isn't just about giving back. I see it as you're stepping forward. So you are yourself, you gain while you're giving. And so I truly believe that. So it helps that I am not a person, I don't think money, I love money, money's great, but it's just not my number one reason for being. And so when I chose USD over Bell Communications Research, I took a 40% cut in pay. And it would be nice if I didn't have to take a 40% cut in pay, but I was okay with that at that time. And that's kind of how I look at things. So I'm much more interested in impact than I am in money, even though I think money is a totally fine thing to be trying to, and you should be paid what you're worth. And you should, I wish I had developed the knowledge that I have now about how expected it is to negotiate when you're getting hired. And that's a whole other talk, but I'm happy to give it some time. And so next slide. And so basically, I think that you have an opportunity, and one of those opportunities is through volunteering for technical growth and a chance to build visibility and credibility. And I've only had a little bit of a chance, but I'm running out of time. And so I'm just going to say thank you very much. And I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Can we please give a virtual round of applause? Round of applause for Kathleen for delivering a very impactful presentation. Thank you so much. I would like to give some of in the audience to start with. I think our peak attendance was 136. So you set the bar, Kathleen,
they hung in
for the rest of our November to November series. So thank you so much. So I will take a few questions, and then it'll be great for you to add on to that as part of your presentation, Kathleen. So the first hand I can see is Samuel Adebayo. If you can unmute, please, and then.
Thank you very much, Kathleen, for the wonderful evening and for sharing it with us. We're humbled to have you.
Oh, thank you, Samuel.
And then being with us is a proud moment for us, and is a proud moment for me and for the university as a whole. And we can see the future you've taken. You can see the past you've taken us through, and the future you've led us through within your presentations. and also within your career development. We are inspired, to be honest with you.
Mm.
And my question is, what is the future for IEEE as a whole and also for our university? Thank you.
So, well, who knows? I don't think I've ever been so good at predicting the future. So I'm a believer in first principles. And that's why, so I was doing my engineering and it was so like you do this and then you do that. And like you're supposed to be innovative and you're supposed to get things to work. But I really like first principles better. And then when I was in graduate school, I really liked game theory. And so I think I see a lot of the organization as, you know, it's very big. And so people have to win by doing things that I want them to do or that are virtuous. Like I want a virtue cycle, not a vicious cycle. And so I've had, so my three major strategic ad hocs this year are the one IEEE for strategic innovation and the one IEEE connecting students to successful careers in industry and the one IEEE for education. And in each of those, the common theme is one IEEE. And so you could Google what is one IEEE for education, and you get a really good description of what it is. And the notion is that I need processes and systems that we're all like, there's things that we all agree on, but we have so many different communities that that we don't have a global view of where we need to be better or where we should be delivering lessons more. And so we're world leaders in certain areas. And I have a whole separate talk about innovation that I didn't have time to give today. And so I see us as becoming better at strategic innovation. And so it's not a question of predicting what the next big tech wave is, and how far the AI bubble is going to go. It's more first principles, and that we have to, the balancing of different communities and community interests is the challenge that I'm hoping to help us navigate through.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Kathleen. Salome? I'm cautious we will not be able to take everybody's question, but I'll let Salome go on. So.
Okay, thank you so much. Good evening, Professor Kathleen. Good evening, everybody. It is truly an honor to have you with us today. So I'm deeply inspired by your journey and leadership within the IEEE. We are all inspired. And as someone who has started as an IEEE onboarding officer to pioneering the formation of women in engineering affinity group within our university. And currently I'm serving as the IEEE student branch president. So I sincerely thank you for your contribution to empowering students and professionals worldwide. So I have two questions. First, from your experience in leading diverse initiatives within the IEEE, so what key strategies would you recommend for student branches like us, especially those who are still developing, in order to sustain engagement and create a long-term impact?
So, so that's why I started this What IEEE to connect students to successful careers in industry. So for a long time, I think we've been held back by measuring our student activities or initiatives by how many student members do we have. And that's not the point. And so I think very much the point is, how are you connecting students, including students at your branch, for success? And so there's certain programs that are high impact, you want to get beyond being a club. And so it's great to be like, I'm not against clubs. I'm a joiner. I join many, like you didn't even hear about all the things. I can't help myself. I'm a compulsive joiner. And so I'm all for that club part. But if like so the question to ask is like, how can you impact their success meaningfully? And better yet, how can you bring in resources from out, meaning people resources, not just asking for money, but people resources with expertise and connections that are meaningful to them. And so there's a project that I have them working on at the highest levels, and I agreed to speak. I haven't spoken all year in my own section, and I agreed to speak to them for them 2 weeks from today. I'm speaking for them, and I was just looking at what am I speaking about in 2 weeks from today. And oh my goodness, I accidentally agreed to speak for my own initiative, and that I had that successfully managed to get it to San Diego without even me knowing. And I'm part of it. So we have this program called Catalyst, and so I want you to look for that and see if you can connect that. And that means you're going to be working to connect the students at your university to industry success and greater connections and abilities.
Thank you very much.
Sure, you're welcome, Salome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, just to bear in mind, if there has been a little nugget shared by Professor Kathleen already from the responses she's given to questions, please bear that in mind. I really am a stickler for sticking to time, so we won't be able to take everybody's hands, but I please do encourage you, keep those thoughts and those questions coming. We have a month long.
So it is nice. So it's interesting, you know, different cultures. So I was in the Korean Institute of Science, Advanced Institute of Science and Technology a couple days ago. I don't know what day it is anymore, but I was just there. And I had the largest crowd they'd ever have for their colloquium. So it was about, I don't know, 250 in the room, and they had 3 overflow rooms, and I was there in person. And they had said, any questions? And there's dead silence. And so look at you, all your questions. And so pat yourselves on the back. So
Yeah.
even if I don't answer your question, it's good for you that you're ready to ask questions.
Give yourself a pat on the back for all of you that have raised your hand up for asking the questions. Before we have to let, and obviously this is a conversation that I said we will have the opportunity to carry on all through for the remainder of the month. I'm just mindful that we have Dr. Sam Johnson here. Well, like to invite.
There's let's ask over. I think there's someone from America trying to ask question about America.
Do you
I can
know
see Sarah Ilori.
Go on, Sarah, then.
Yeah.
Oh, our international guest, we would honor you.
She's still muted.
Sarah, on mute.
Oh, hello. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Professor Iwendi, and thank you so much, Professor Kramer, for coming. Your presentation was really insightful to me and to everyone who's here today. I'm from America. I currently attend Rutgers University.
Rutgers. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
You're near my office. You're near my office, Sarah.
Oh, in New Jersey.
I have an office in Piscataway, and I have an office in New York City. And so it has my name on it, and it's really my office, but I'm not there very often. But please go on.
No, we visited that place together when I was in
yes.
So she knows the
Piscataway,
office.
yes. Yeah. Yes, but I'm currently getting my master's in economics and data science. And your presentation, it was really inspiring to me, just as trying to find my position as an early professional. And you spoke of power skills and soft skills. So I was wondering if you have any examples for a student like me in economics and data science. What would be specific power skills and soft skills for me?
Well, so I think, like, truthfully, data science itself, just having, for people to really understand to be numerate, to really understand numbers, is itself a skill. And so people think of it as only a technical skill, but it helps you to, like, what I like the term power skills instead of soft skills. And that's basically because of my my women in engineering background. And so you want to watch out for people. As a woman, I will say that you want to watch out for people that tell you your strength is in the soft skills. And so like run, don't walk away from that. And so power skills, to me, and it's why I really, our program that we're requiring the students to have both a Bachelor of Arts and a Bachelor of Science. And so you need to have your strong technical understanding and ability to contribute, but to have emotional intelligence, to have communication skills, to be able to, so I would say like data science, but even less than data science, just data reduction, to be able to be able to value what's important and see what's important, and from a game theory point of view, to see the game. And I could write a whole article on it, but I think, and I think it also helps to see it as a game, and to not, so that it's not so personal when people are feeling competitive with you, or like what happens to me is, so I feel most of the time I feel very beloved, frankly, that people are very kind, and I feel their affection. But when I get hostility, it's really, later I'll realize it was because I'm threatening to their ego, and they're reacting, like they see it as they're defending themselves against my attack that I made without even knowing who they were. and that, if you see it as a game, then it don't see it as a personal thing. You want to be aware of what motivates people and what motivates yourself. And so you can set yourself up for success by knowing how you work well and how you don't work well. And then totally off the, when you feel that you're in a really stressful situation, and there's like arguments, or really it's like a bad situation, the best thing you can do is not react. And so don't give in to tears, don't get it emotional. When I regret something, it's something in my character that you're not going to get me to overreact to you. But and so the best thing you can say is, well, I have no response to that if something's really bad. And then, but what I'll regret is that, I should have gotten up and walked out. And if something was really, like, I should have, and it takes me, like, I'm always surprised because I can't predict when somebody's going to be ridiculous. But if you see it as a game, see them as being ridiculous, not people that have power over you. to be looking at the negative side, which doesn't happen a lot.
I think that's
thank you so much.
Advice.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks, Sarah, for joining us. I think that's a brilliant advice to give to all of our students that are here. Really appreciate your time. I would like to invite Sam Johnson now to do the honors of really appreciating you, Kathleen, for giving us your time. And like I said, I think our peak attendance got to 143. So thank you so much.
I like to win.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Bimpe, for introducing me. Thank you so much, Professor Kramer, for a fantastic opening inaugural session for November to Remember. That was absolutely wonderful. And you can see, we could keep you here talking all night. There'll be so many questions. I know I personally will be really interested to invite you back perhaps next year to November to Remember, perhaps to talk a little bit more about that women in science and technology piece that I know many of our students here this evening are very, very interested in, and that underrepresentation of women in engineering globally. I'd really be interested to hear your thoughts on that. But thank you so much for sharing your professional journey with us. Thank you for sharing the ways in which IEEE can support building knowledge, shared discovery, collaboration, and certainly we're very committed within our school and our university to encouraging IEEE membership across the staff and student bodies. So we're a fantastic organisation, and thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your life journey, which I think is clearly inspirational to many of the people that are on the call today. I particularly liked as well that sort of organic piece, that you might have to make a choice at one point, but that isn't for the rest of your life. You can be many things at different points. I just think that's fantastic. And for many of our participants this evening who are just starting off on that professional career, it's worth bearing that in mind. You've got another 60 years worth of choosing career paths.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's beholden to me now. Thank you so much, Professor Kramer. We will share with you our award. Hopefully you can see that. So an EARS award.
And I don't have to try to get it into my luggage. Thank you.
That's right. So thank you so much for beginning the series. There's so much, as I say, we'd love to pick up this conversation on other occasions. I'll stop sharing now and just say once more, thank you so much for giving us your time and sharing your expertise. And thank you to all of our students and guests and participants and academic colleagues who've joined this evening. What a fantastic turnout. And I look forward to seeing everybody again tomorrow, hopefully. But first and foremost, thank you so much to Professor Kramer. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Very glad to be here. And I appreciate all of you that have helped, that attended, and all of you, especially you, Professor Johnson, that have helped coordinate and made me so welcome and glad that I spent my time with you today. And so thank you. And so maybe hope to see you next year, and hope to run into some of you I go many places. And so I hope to have a chance to meet you better in the future. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Professor Kramer. To everyone that has joined, have a wonderful evening, afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your day, wherever you are. The conversation continues tomorrow, same time, same virtual space, and we will share all the details. Thank you so much.
Remember, tomorrow we have 2 programs. It's beginning by 5, and then the WTO DJ will come in by 6. Be there.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Lovely to see you. Bye, everybody.